हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू एनसीईआरटी ऑडियो बुक। आज हम क्लास 11 का लेसन 6 स्टार्ट करेंगे बायोलॉजी का, एनाटॉमी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स। वी कैन वेरी इजीली सी द स्ट्रक्चरल सिमिलैरिटीज एंड वेरिएशंस इन द एक्सटर्नल मॉर्फोलॉजी ऑफ द larger living organism, both plants and animals. Similarly, if we were to study the internal structure, one also finds several similarities as well as differences. This chapter introduces you to the internal structure and functional organization of higher plants. Study of the internal structure of the plants is called anatomy. Plants have cells as a basic unit. Cells are organized into tissue and in the turn of tissue are organized into organs. Different organs in the plant shows differences in their internal structures. Within the angiosperm, the monocots and dicots are also seen to be the anatomically different. Internal structures also shows the adaptation to diverse the environment. The tissue. A tissue is a group of the cells having a common origin and usually performing a common function. A plant is made up of the different kinds of the tissues. Tissues are classified into two main groups, namely meristematic and permanent tissues, based on whether the cells being formed are capable of dividing or not. Meristematic tissues is growth in the plants is largely restricted to the specialized region of active cell division called meristem. Plants have a different kind of the meristems. The meristems which occurs at the tips of the roots and shoot are produced primary tissues are called apical meristems. Root apical meristem occupies the tip of the root while the shoot apical meristem occupies the distant most region of the stem apex. During the formation of the leaves and elongation of the stems, some cells left behind from the shoot apical meristem constitute the auxiliary bud. Such buds are present in the axial of the leaves are capable of forming a branch or a flower. The meristem which occurs between the mature tissue is known as intercalary meristem. They occurs in the grasses and regenerates parts removed by the grazing herbivores. Both the apical meristems and the intercalary meristems are primary meristems because they appear early in life of the plants and they contribute to the formations of the primary plant body. The meristem that occurs in the mature region of the roots and shoots of the many plants, particularly those that produce woody axis and appears later than primary meristem, is called secondary or lateral meristem. They are cylindrically meristem, fascicular vascular cambium, interfascicular cambium and cork cambium are the examples of lateral meristem. These are responsible for the producing of secondary tissues. Flowering, division of the cell in both primary as well as secondary meristem, the newly formed cells become structurally and functionally specialized and lose the ability to divide. Such cells are termed permanent or mature cells and constitute the permanent tissue. During the formation of the primary plant body, specific region of the apical meristem produce dermal tissue, ground tissues and vascular tissues. Permanent tissues. The cells of the permanent tissues do not generally divide further. Permanent tissues having all cells similar in the structure and function are called simple tissues. Permanent tissues having many different types of the cells are called complex tissues. Simple tissues. A simple tissue is made up of only one type of the cells. The various simple tissues in plants are parenchyma, collenchyma and scalenchyma. Parenchyma forms the major components within organs. The cells of the parenchyma are generally isodiametric. They may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal or elongated in shape. Their walls are thin and made up of cellulose. They may either be closely packed or have a smaller intercellular spaces. The parenchyma performs the various functions like photosynthesis, storage and secretion. The collenchyma. The collenchyma occurs in the layers below the epidermis in most of the dicotyledonous plant. It is found either as the homogeneous layer or in the patches. It consists of the cells which are much thickened at the corners due to the deposition of the cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Collenchymatous cells may be oval, spherical or polygonal and often contain chloroplast. These cells assimilate foods when they contain chloroplast. Intercellular spaces are absent. They provide mechanical support to the growing parts of the plants such as young stem and the petiole of the leaf. Sclerenchyma consists of the long narrow cells with thick and lignified cell walls having a few numerous pits. They are usually dead and without protoplast. On the basis of the variation in form of structure, origin and the development, sclerenchyma may be either fibrous or sclerites. The fibers are thick-walled, elongated and pointed cells, generally occurring in groups. In various parts of the plants, the sclerites are the spherical, oval and cylindrical high-thickened dead cells with very narrow cavities lumen. These are commonly found in the fruit walls of the nuts, pulp of the fruits like guava, pear and spouta, seeds coats of the legume and leaves of the tea. Sclerenchyma provides the mechanical support to the organs. Complex tissues. The complex tissues are made up of more than one type of the cells, and these work together as a unit. Xylem and phloem constitute the complex tissues in plants. Xylem function as the conducting tissues for water and minerals from roots to the stem and leaves. It also provides mechanical strength to the plant part. It is composed of 4 different kinds of the element, namely tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. Gymnosperm lack vessels in their xylem. Tracheids are elongated or tube-like cells with thick and lignified walls and tapering ends. These are dead and without protoplasm. The inner layers of the cell walls have a thickening which vary in form. In flowering plants, tracheids and vessels are the main water transporting element. Vessels are long cylindrical tube-like structure made up of many cells called vessels membrane, each with lignified walls and the large central cavity. The vessel cells are also devoid the protoplasm. Vessels members are interconnected through perforations in their common walls. The presence of the vessels is the characteristic features of the angiosperm. Xylem fibers have highly thickened walls and obliterated central lumens. These may either be septated or aseptate. Xylem parenchyma cells are the living and thin-walled, and their cell walls are made up of cellulose. They store food material in the form of starch and fat and other substances like tannins. The radial conduction of the water takes place by the ray of parenchymatous cells. Primary xylem is of 2 types, protoxylem and metaxylem. The first form primary xylem elements are called protoxylem, and later the form primary xylem is called metaxylem. In stems, the protoxylem lies toward the center of the pith and the metaxylem lies towards the periphery of the organ. This type of the primary xylem is called endarch. In roots, protoxylem lies towards the periphery and metaxylem lies towards the center. Such arrangement of primary xylem is called exarch. Phloem transport the food material, usually from the leaves to the other parts of the plants. Phloem in angiosperms are composed of the sieve tubes, elements, companion cells and phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Gymnosperm have albuminous cells and sieve cells. They lack sieve tubes and companion cells. Sieve tube elements are also long tube-like structure arranged longitudinally and are associated with the companion cells. Their ends walls are perforated in the sieve-like manner to form a sieve plates. A mature sieve element possesses a peripheral cytoplasm and a large vacuole but lacks of the nucleus. A function of the sieve tubes are controlled by the nucleus of companion cells. The companion cells are specialized parenchymatous cells which are closely associated with sieve tubes element. The sieve tube elements and the companion cells are connected by the pit fields present between their common longitudinal walls. The companion cells help in the maintaining the pressure gradient in the sieve tubes. Phloem parenchyma, made up of elongated tapering cylinder cell which have dense cytoplasm and nucleus. The cell wall is composed of the cellulose and has pits through which the plasmodesmatal connection exists between the cells. The phloem parenchyma stores food material and other substances like resin, latex, and mucilage. Phloem parenchyma is absent in most of the monocotyledons. Phloem fibers, bast fibers, are made up of the sclerenchymatous cells. These are generally absent in the primary phloem, but are not found in the secondary phloem. These are much elongated, unbranched, and have a pointed, needle-like apices. The cell wall of the phloem fibers is quite thick. At maturity, these fibers lose their protoplasm and becomes dead. Phloem fibers of the jute, flax, and the hemp are used commercially. The first formed primary phloem consists of the narrow sieve tubes and is referred to as a protophlloem, and the latter formed is the phloem has a bigger sieve tubes and referred as the metaphloem. The tissue system. We were discussing the types of the tissues based on the types of the cells present. Let us now consider how the tissues vary depending on their locations in the plant body. Their structure and functions would also be dependent on the location. On the basis of their structures and locations, there are three types of the tissue system. These are the epidermal tissue system and ground fundamental tissue system or vascular or conducting tissue system. First, epidermal tissue system. The epidermal tissue system forms the outermost covering of the whole plant body and comprise epidermal cells, stomata, and the epidermal appendages, the trichomes and hairs. The epidermal is the outermost layer of the primary plant body, and it is made up of elongated, compactly arranged cell which forms the continuous layer. Epidermis is usually single-layered. Epidermis cells is the parenchymatous with a small amount of cytoplasm lining of the cell wall and the large vacuole. The outside of the epidermis is often covered with the waxy thick layer called a cuticle, which prevent the loss of water. Cuticle is absent in roots. Stomata are structure present in the epidermis of the leaves. Stomata regulate the process of the transpirations and the gaseous exchange. Each stoma is composed of two bean-shaped cells known as guard cells, which encloses the stomatal pore. In grasses, the guard cells are dumbbell-shaped. The outer walls of the guard cells away from the stomatal pore are thin, and inner walls towards the stomatal pore are highly thickened. The guard cell processes the chloroplast and regulates the opening and closing of stomata. Sometimes a few epidermal cells in the vicinity of the guard cells become specialized in their shape and size and are known as subsidiary cells. The stomatal aperture and the guard cells and the surrounding subsidiary cells are together called the stomatal aperture. The cells of the epidermis bear a number of the hairs. The root hairs are the unicellular elongation of the epidermal cells and help to absorb the water and minerals from the soil. On the stem of the epidermal hairs are called the trichomes. The trichomes in the shoot system are usually multicellular. They may be branched, unbranched, and soft and stiff. They may be even or secretory. The trichomes help in the preventing of water loss due to the transpiration. The ground tissue system. All the tissues except the epidermis and vascular bundles are constitute the ground tissues. It consists of the simple tissues such as parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Parenchymatous cells are usually present in cortex and pericycle, pith, and the medullary rays, in the primary stems of the roots, in the leaves, and the ground tissues consist of the thin-walled chloroplast containing cells and the called mesophyll. The vascular system tissue. The vascular system consists of the complex tissues of the phloem and xylem. The xylem and phloem together constitute the vascular bundles. In dicotyledonous plant, cambium is present between the phloem and xylem. Such vascular bundles, because of the presence of the cambium possess the ability to form the secondary xylem and phloem tissue, and hence are called the open vascular bundles. In the monocotyledonous plants, the vascular bundles have no cambium present in them. Hence, they do not form the secondary tissues and referred to as a closed. and xylem and phloem within the vascular bundles are arranged in the alternate manner along the different radii. The arrangement is called the radial, such as the roots in co-joint type of the vascular bundles. In xylem and phloem are jointed situated along the same radius of the vascular bundles. Such vascular bundles are common in stems and leaves. The co-joint vascular bundles usually have a phloem located only on the outer side of the xylem. Anatomy of dicotyledonous and monocotyledonous plant. For a better understanding of a tissue organization of the roots, stems and leaves, it is convenient to study the transverse section of the mature zone of these organs. Dicotyledonous root. It shows the transverse section of the sunflower root in the internal tissue of organization is as follows. The outermost layer is epilemma. Many of the cells of the epilemma protrude in the form of unicellular root hairs. The cortex consists of the several layers of the thin-walled parenchyma cells with intercellular spaces. The innermost layer of the cortex is called epidermis, and it comprises the single layer of the barrel-shaped cells without any intercellular spaces. The tangential as well as the radial walls of the endodermal cells have a deposition of the water impermeable waxy material subrine in the form of Kapsarian strip. Next to the endodermis lies a few layers of the thick wall of the parenchymatous cells referred to as a pericycle. Initiation of the lateral roots of a vascular cambium during the secondary growth takes place in these cells. The pith is a small and inconspicuous. The parenchymatous cells which lie between the xylem and phloem are called conjunctive tissue. There are usually 2 or 4 xylem and phloem patches. Later, a cambium ring develops between the xylem and phloem. All tissues on the inner side of the endodermis, such as the pericycle, vascular bundles and pith, constitute the stem. Monocotyledonous root. The anatomy of the monocot root is similar to the dicot root in many respects. It has the epidermis, cortex and endodermis, pericycle, vascular bundles and pith. As compared to the dicot root, which have a fewer xylem bundles, there are usually more than 6 xylem bundles in the monocot root. Pith is large and well developed. Monocotyledonous roots do not undergo any secondary growth. Dicotyledonous stem. The transverse section of the typical young dicotyledonous stem shows that the epidermis is the outermost protective layer of the stem. Covered with the thin layer of the cuticle, it may bear the trichomes and the few stomata. The cells arranged in the multiple layers between the epidermis and the pericycle constitute of the cortex. It consists of the 3 subzones. The outer hypodermis consists of the few layers of the parenchymatous cells just below the epidermis, which provides the mechanical strength to the young stem. Cortical epidermis layers below the hypodermis consist of the rounded, thin-walled parenchymatous cells and conspicuous intercellular spaces. The innermost layer of the cortex is called the endodermis. The cells of the endodermis are rich in starch grains, and the layers is also referred to as a starch sheath. Pericycle is present on the inner side of the endodermis and above the phloem in the form of semi-lunar patches of the scalenchyma. In between the vascular bundles, there are a few layers of the radially placed parenchymatous cells which constitute the medullary rays. A large number of the vascular bundles are arranged in the ring. The ring arrangement of the vascular bundles is the characteristics of the dicot stem. Each vascular bundle is cojoint, opened and with the enlarged protoxylem. A large number of the rounded parenchymatous cells with large intercellular spaces which occupy the central portion of the stem constitute of the pith. Monocotyledonous stem. The monocotyledonous stem is the scalenchymatous hypodermis, a large number of the scattered vascular bundles, each surrounded by the scalenchymatous bundle sheath, and the large conspicuous parenchymatous ground tissue. Vascular bundles are cojoint and closed. Peripheral vascular bundles are generally smaller than the centrally located ones. The phloem parenchyma is absent and the water-containing cavities are present within the vascular bundles. Dorsiventral dicotyledonous leaf. The vertical section of the dorsiventral leaf through the lamina shows 3 main parts. namely epidermis, mesophyll and vascular system. The epidermis, which covers both the upper surface, adaxial epidermis, and the lower surface, abaxial epidermis, of the leaf, has a conspicuous cuticle. The abaxial epidermis generally bears more stomata than the adaxial epidermis. The latter may even lack of stomata. The tissue between the upper and the lower epidermis is called the mesophyll. Mesophyll, which possess the chloroplast and carry out the photosynthesis, is made up of the parenchyma. It has two types of the cells, the pellucid parenchyma and the spongy parenchyma. The adaxially placed pellucid parenchyma is made up of the elongated cells, which are arranged vertically and parallel to each other. The oval or round and loosely arranged spongy parenchyma is situated below the pellucid cells and extended to the lower epidermis. There are numerous large spaces and air cavities between these cells. Vascular systems include vascular bundles, which can be seen in the veins and the midrib. The size of the vascular bundles are dependent on the size of the veins. The veins vary in thickness in the reticulate variation of the dicot leaves. The vascular bundles are surrounded by a layer of the thick-walled bundle sheath cells and find the position of the xylem in the vascular bundle. Isobilateral monocotyledonous leaf. The anatomy of the isobilateral leaf is similar to the dorsiventral leaf in the many ways. It shows the following characteristics differences in an isobilateral leaf. The stomata are present on the both surface of the epidermis, and the mesophyll is not differentiated into pellucid and spongy parenchyma. In grasses, certain adaxial epidermis cells along the veins of modified themselves into large empty colorless cells. These are called bulliform cells. When the bulliform cells in the leaves have absorbed water and are turgid, the leaf surface is exposed. When they are flaccid due to water stress, they make the leaves curl inward and minimize the water loss. The parallel venetions in monocot leaves is reflected in the near similar size of the vascular bundles, except in main ways, as seen in a vertical section of the leaves. Secondary growth. The growth of the roots and the stems in the length with the help of the apical meristem is called primary growth. Apart from the primary growth, most dicotyledonous plants exhibit an increase in girth. This increase is called as a secondary growth. The tissue involved in the secondary growth are the two lateral meristem, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium. The meristematic layer that is responsible for cutting of the vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, is called the vascular cambium. In the young stem, it is present in the patches and the single layer between the xylem and the phloem. Later it forms the complete ring, formation of a cambial ring. In dicot stem, the cells of the cambium present between the primary xylem and primary phloem is the interfascicular cambium. The cells of the medullary rays adjoining these intrafascicular cambium becomes the meristematics and form the interfascicular cambium. Thus, a continuous ring of the cambium is formed. Activity of the cambial ring. The cambial ring becomes active and begins to cut off new cells both towards the inner and the outer sides. The cells cut off towards the pith mature into secondary xylem, and the cells cut off towards the periphery mature into secondary phloem. The cambium is generally more active on the inner side than on the outer. As a result, the amount of the secondary xylem produced is more than the secondary phloem and soon forms the compact mass. The primary and secondary phloems get gradually crushed due to the continuous formations of the accumulation of the secondary xylem. The primary xylem, however, remains more or less intact in or around the center. At some places, the cambium forms a narrow bands of the parenchyma, which passes through the secondary xylem and the secondary phloem in the radial direction. These are the secondary medullary rays. The activity of the cambium under the control of the many physiological and the environmental factors. In temperature region, the climatic conditions are not uniform through the year. In the spring season, cambium is very active and produces large number of the xylary elements having the vessels with wider cavities. The wood formed during this season is called spring wood or early wood. In winter, the cambium is less active and forms fewer xylary elements that have a narrow vessels, and this wood is called autumn wood or late wood. The spring wood is lighter in color and has a lower density, whereas the autumn wood has a darker in color and higher density. The two kinds of the woods that appears alternate the concentric rings constitute the annual ring. Annual rings seen in a cut stem give an estimate of the age of the tree. Heartwood and sapwood. In old trees, the greater part of the secondary xylem is dark brown due to the deposition of the organic compounds like tannins, resins, oils, gums, aromatic substance, and the essential oils in the central or innermost layer of the stem. The substance make it hard, durable, and resistant to the attack of the microorganisms and insects. This region comprises red elements with highly lignified walls and is called the heartwood. The heartwood does not conduct water, but it gives the mechanical support to the stem. The peripheral region of the secondary xylem is lighter in color and known as the sapwood. It is involved in the conduction of the water and minerals from the root of the leaf. Cork cambium. As the stem continues to increase the girth due to the activity of the vascular cambium, the outer corticals and the epidermal layer get broken and needs to be replaced to provide new protective cells layer. Hence, sooner or later, another meristematic tissue called cork cambium or pallogen developed. Usually in the cortex region, pallogen is the couple of the layers thick. It is made of narrow, thin-walled and nearly rectangular cells. Phallogens cut off the cells both sides. The outer cell differentiated into cork or phallum, while the inner cells are differentiated into secondary cortex or phalladum. The cork is the impervious of the water due to the submarine deposition in the cell wall. The cell of the secondary cortex of the parenchymatous, phallogen, phallum and the phallodome are collectively known as the periderm. Due to the activity of the cork cambium, pressure builds up on the remaining layer of the peripheral to pallogen, and ultimately these layers die and slough off. Bark is the non-technical term that refers to all the tissues exterior to the vascular cambium. Therefore, including the secondary phloem, bark refers to the number of the tissues types, periderm and secondary phloem. Bark that is formed early in the season is called early soft bark. Towards the end of the season, late or hard bark is formed. Name of the various kinds of the cells layers which constitute of the bark. At certain region, the phallogen cuts off the closely arranged parenchymatous cells of the outer sides instead of the cork cell. These are parenchymatous cells soon rupture and the epidermis, forming the lens-shaped opening called lenticles. Lenticles permit the exchange of the gases between the outer atmosphere and the inner tissue of the stem. These occur in the most of the woody trees. Secondary growth in roots. In the dicot roots, the vascular cambium is completely secondary in origin. It originates from the tissue located just below the phloem bundles, a portion of the pericycle tissue above the protoxylem, forming a complete and continuous wavy ring which later becomes circular. Further events are similar to those already described above for the dicotyledonous stem. Secondary growth also occurs in the stems and roots of the gymnosperm. However, secondary growth does not occur in the monocotyledons.